Okay.
Hey, we're live again. We really are having bad luck with Facebook, so thank you for those of you guys who have been patient and letting us pop up live 5 minutes. We were actually talking. We were thinking we were live, and
We were alive, but you weren't alive to us, or we weren't alive to you. I don't know.
so here I am, Janet from Cabinet Homeschool Resource Center.
I'm
with
Karen.
our super duper science teacher of the world. So this year is the last year that we had traditional classes.
Yeah.
And we're switching to a new model, which is going to be really cool.
Every 20 years, we switch to a new thing. So,
Yeah. This one is going to be workshops.
yes.
Yes. And they're going to be really cool.
So the main difference is that there just isn't traditional coursework that goes with the theme of that class or that month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just all labs in essence. We're
Oh my
just calling
gosh.
them workshops.
Yeah, that's one of the questions that some people have had. Are your science workshops, how hands-on are they going to be?
Yeah, they're ridiculously hands-on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how most kids learn. That's how I learn. And I think if you're interested and you get to actually do science, that's going to drive the kids to want, when they go to the library, they'll want to like research a little bit more and just get more involved. So I like to do a very hands-on approach to learning. And for the little kids, there's very little writing. It's more like recording. So they might like circle or check something, but there's very, very little writing, maybe writing their name on something, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty hands-on.
Yeah, from the families that have taken classes here in the past, they always said that any other class that they've taken has never had as much hands-on experiments as Karen's class. Talking about that, Karen, show us your scientific drink.
I have my
C-minus.
coffee cup here from Emilio. Yeah.
Power
Da-da-da-da-dum. Thank you, Emilio.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
I need one of those. Emilio is one of her students from
Yeah.
another class. That is actually the coolest coffee cup ever.
Powered by caffeine.
Okay, so we are having two kinds of workshops. So what we mean by workshops is Karen is no longer going to be grading homework, and you're not going to be giving the children's test. You simply
Right.
they're going to come here
And just do the lab work.
and do the lab
Right.
work. So and one of the questions that we had is, do the parents need to use a specific curriculum?
Negative.
Negative.
Right. So do you want to talk about the two different kinds of workshops first?
Yeah, so we're having two different kinds of workshops. We're calling one a series and one individual. So what's the difference?
Well, the series ones would be mainly it's for like the older kids, where you sign up for the whole batch of them. They come once a month, and you take all of them. You don't. It isn't a choice of just taking like one or two of interest. For the younger kids, they're the ones where you can just do a specific workshop. For instance, a co-op contacted me about can they sign up for just the bat workshop?
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, you could do that. So they wouldn't have to take the others. So they're kind of onesie twosie. You can base them more around your schedules and things like that, or a particular theme that you're doing. So
Yeah, we had a mom. She signed up for almost all of them, but she skipped December because December is so heavy for herself, for her family, that she's just like, I don't want to do one in December.
right, which is kind of nice, because then for me, I'm not planning for that particular student, like as far as buying materials, prepping all of that, and it frees up a space. And where another family says, like, we really don't do a lot of our traditional homeschooling in December, so we'd like to do a few extra
Exactly.
workshops. Oh, let's do a science workshop over at the New Covenant.
That's
So,
right.
yes.
So all the workshops are going to be taking place at our new location on 30th Avenue and Bethany Home Road.
Yep, and the exciting thing for me is I actually have water in the
She
classroom
does.
for the first time since 1989.
Oh my gosh.
I have water in the class, like an actual faucet that works.
Yeah.
Downtown. It's downtown, yeah.
Yeah, if you see Karen after each science class, she goes outside her science classroom. There's a spigot, and she just sits there in the little stool and she washes everything. So now she has a sink.
I know, a real sink, an indoor sink.
Yeah, welcome to the modern age.
Seriously, it's just like prison again. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. No. So,
Yeah, I really, really like how the co-op asks you for the specific class on BAS.
yeah. And that way they could do that. They could, and I could, curtail it
Yeah.
just, well, I wouldn't change it much, but I could just meet their specific needs.
Yeah.
So,
So if you guys go to our website under workshops, all the themes are listed for the. You have a K through fourth and a 4 through 6 group,
right.
correct?
And I know that, and the reason I did it different this year was sometimes you have like those younger students that just kind of want to tag along, and they definitely can listen and get involved.
totally.
So they want to come along, but they're not really like reading yet, or you don't think they have their writing skills down. It won't really matter. Where it's the same theme for the 4th through 6th graders one. It's a half an hour longer, so there'll be a little bit more writing, you know. But then again, you might have a 6th grader that isn't real strong in their writing skills, so science would be the perfect workshop for them. So it gives you a little bit more variety of choices.
And then the beauty also is if you want to have a consultation with Chris or I, you're thinking about transcripts or you're not sure about how to teach a specific subject or you need any help, or if you just want to come and have some time alone to open the books and look at curriculum and compare and see what's out there, you could leave your kids.
Right, and that was one of the driving forces with changing the time frame on the workshops. My old elementary classes were 2 hours long. These are an hour or an hour and a half. And part of that was because we're moving and we have 1,000 more square feet of, is it 1,000 more?
It
of bookstore
is.
space. So what I was hearing some parents saying was, 2 hours can be a lot of time to kind of, be down there just waiting, but an hour, they have time for a consultation, they have time to do browsing in the bookstore, that type of thing. So it's like, wait a minute, so I could just sign up my student for science and then I can shop at the same time and it's an hour and a half. There's kind of a win-win, know. So that was one of the driving forces for that.
Yeah.
So
we had that question about hands-on experiments. How much is it more like a lecture or do the kids actually touch and do all kinds of stuff?
There's always a little intro, like what are we talking about, that type of thing. But then it's really, it's very hands-on. And I'm also not a real tidy person. So, we tend to get a little messy in class.
Yeah.
Don't wear anything nice.
Yeah. It's a good messy, though.
It's a good messy.
It's really good.
It's a good messy. Yeah, I like for the kids to do their own things. And then everything that they do in class, most of the things they do in class, they get to take home with them, unless it would be something like, lab supplies. Like, I guess, for instance, would be, I'm looking at my box of mirrors. I have a whole box of concave and convex mirrors that I've collected over the years and different lenses and things. They wouldn't get to necessarily take those home, but they would get to take, like, a plain mirror home, that type of thing. But usually they're all their main project they get to take home with them. And then they'll also take home, for the younger kids, just a small stack of worksheets that relate to the topic and a little summary as to what we did in the workshop that day.
Yeah, so if you want to expand on those subjects at home, you can, but you don't have to,
Right.
It's all optional.
And I set it up so it's like a traditional curriculum. Science is divided into 3 categories: earth, life, and physical science. And so there's each of those categories throughout that school year. And so you really could play off of my theme for your science school year and just supplement it with things from just your own experiences or from the library or awesome things you purchase at Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and if a group of friends want to go to like the oceans, are you doing a theme on oceans this year? I
Yes,
can't remember.
at the end for the younger kids. Yep.
Yeah, so you can go to the aquarium down in Tempe and then come here the next day and do the whole class or vice versa. Oh my gosh, that would be so amazing.
Right, yeah. So
I
there's
would
just
totally
things
do that.
there's just things like that. Give you options.
That is so cool. So the individual ones are the ones that kids can do one at a time. How about the series?
The series are for the older kids, and those are for the kids that are like middle school and high school. And again, those are just once a month, but you sign up for all of them.
Yeah.
It isn't an option.
Yeah. And that will give you a complete credit for science, which
Yes.
is so helpful.
Yeah. Now the one that is I guess you could kind of call it middle school, but really, if you have a high schooler where you have, whether, I hear this periodic, I hear this often from kids that transfer from a traditional school to homeschooling, is they do very little lab work, very
school.
little lab work. And
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to matter if it's public or private. They just do, the teacher demos a lot of stuff, or they'll have, you know, like 6 kids to a table and one set of supplies and things like that. And actually, when I go to science workshops, I hear the teachers say the same thing: is they'll have 6 kids at a table and sharing supplies. I have 2 kids to a table usually for the
Yeah.
older kids. But if you have a student that hasn't had a lot of lab experience, the applications of science course is really, it isn't a particular science course in itself where we think of it, you know, like cookbook science, where it's, you know, physical science, biology, anatomy, forensics, chemistry, you know, something like that. It's really how to use science. It's how to investigate, how to retrieve information, how to work with variables, what the components of experimenting, how you actually apply the things in science. And so that's a really fun. It's going to be a super, really fun class where they really are going to focus on those. I just got goosebumps
I know,
just thinking
she's
about
so
it. Yeah.
good.
So I haven't taught it before. I've used lots of parts of it, but I haven't taught it as a whole course before. So I'm really excited. But that would be an awesome class also if you're middle school, or if you're going into 9th grade and you really just haven't had a lot of hands-on experience. This is a great way to get your feet wet.
So if a kid is doing a general science course for high school, would
You
that
can-
be the perfect lab?
You can
It
apply
sounds
that
like
lab
it.
to general science because it's not thematic as far as like cookbook science, but it would definitely count as a high school lab for that. And at the end of the course, you'll get a printout for the high school courses that say the lab, like what we did, and then the components used. Which again is what you want to keep with your transcripts. So when you're
Totally.
meeting with Jana and Chris at Covenant on how to set up your transcripts and stuff, that would be part of your lab stuff that you would want to include with that.
Okay, so how often do we host workshops? Oh, yay!
So they're once a month, depending on if they're K through high school. They meet once a month. It just the time frame's different, and the dates are all posted.
Yeah, everything's on the website, chsrc.org, and you just click on workshops. And then the high school ones are about 3 hours,
They're
correct?
3 hours, yeah, and I have a little bit of, and also we have 2 time frames this year, so we haven't offered that before, because I literally I don't have there's
Energy
not
to
enough
do everything.
there's not enough time to do it, but with just doing the workshops, so there's 2 time banks that you can sign up for, and there's a little bit of a buffer in between. So yeah,
9 to 12.
9 to
and-
12, yeah.
And then the other one is in the afternoon.
Right.
So Amanda, if you were to sign up, your kids will love the class. Every time I stick my head in here, it's so neat to see the interaction of
Well,
her with
unless
the
we're doing
kids.
dissections,
Oh, yeah.
then she makes a big stinky face
Yes,
and
I do.
leaves. Yeah.
I do. I just walk
So.
in because I like to see how excited the kids are, and then I smell it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah. And I have to tell you, my 2 children took Karen's classes. One of them, the 2 of them did it in middle school, and one of them took a high school science class. And both of them tell me they went off to college. My first one in particular took a lot of science classes, but they both told me that they've never had, and this is true, Karen,
Yeah.
such an amazing science teacher as Karen. They both have told me that. Because Karen
I
just-
like teaching science.
loves
It's just really fun. It's actually the best course. I don't know why you guys teach other things, but it's everything. It's math, it's art, it's reading, it's literature, it's history, it's everything. So science is really the best course, and it really makes me sad. I make this like personal mission when I get a transfer student who's like, yeah, I like science, but we just never did science, or we just don't do much at home, or in my other school we just watched a sweet potato grow. And I'm like, oh, I am going to win you over from the dark side. Yeah. So,
She really does. I mean, Karen
So.
just loves teaching and doing everything so hands-on. I mean, the kids really get to understand and get to ask questions, and it's just it's amazing. Okay, so at Covenant, we don't require our teachers to be certified. That was one of the questions. I think this is probably from an ESA family.
Right.
that
We've
put in that
never,
question.
even when we were back when we were a traditional school,
Yeah.
and we didn't, we just required them to have an expertise. The board would view their expertise in expertise and love of the subject,
Yeah.
and believe that would carry through more than just a degree. So,
Yeah. And it has proven to be true. I mean, because our science classes, I mean, people talk about them all the time. So it would not qualify for ESA if you want to sign up for that. Okay, so high school credits. That was another question. I can't remember if we answered it. Is it a complete
right, they
high
do
school
get
credit?
a complete lab credit. Yep. Now, if you just take like the microscope workshop for the high school, the older kids, that isn't going to count as a high school credit. But also I should mention with high school lab stuff, if you, which you're probably familiar, if a new homeschooler to high school, maybe not, but just watching videos and things like that and doing online lab, Arizona does,
Yeah.
they do not recognize that as a lab science. So we get people coming in crying periodically, like, I thought this would work, and it's like, no,
Yeah,
you
it-
have to have some hands-on stuff.
Yeah, if you're planning on going to ASU particularly, you really need to have hands-on science. So our recommendation is it's better to do a hands-on science. But if you're
Yeah.
thinking you're not going to, and your child is college bound, call the college and ask them, would you accept a video course? Would you accept a science class without lab? And for ASU, they really want a specific sampling about that, and we can show you about that. Or just go to ASU's website and ask for the homeschool liaison, and they should be able to help you. But we highly recommend, because then you avoid problems and surprises.
Yeah.
And the kids learn so much anyway.
Right.
so
I've worked with a
hands-on.
lot of kids just in specific situations where that has been, like, a family has moved and been completely caught off guard. Back east it wasn't required, out here it was, and now what do we do? So, but yeah, so we do it anyway. Bottom line is it's all hands on. So
Yeah, they are amazing. Oh my goodness. So we do have for the series, for the biology, we have all the dissection labs, and we also have a microscope lab. That is it's a one time, and it's $55 for like how many hours? 5 hours. I
5
think?
hours, I think.
So
Yeah.
so you're
And
getting
they-
really your money worth.
and
on
they
that
really
one.
with yeah, and we have all of our microscopes are like a traditional high school microscope with all the three to four different powers of magnification. We get them serviced every year to year and a half, depending on this year. Usually every year we get them serviced, and they learn all the traditional things like how to draw proper microscope drawing. Just like when you write a sentence, you start, with a capital letter and with a period, subject and predicate. So they learn how to properly draw a microscope drawing, and then how to look at prepared slides, and then also how to make their own slides out of dried objects, wet objects, and how to stain. So it 5 hours sounds like a lot. It is a lot, but they really come away
Yes.
with a complete knowledge of microscope stuff.
And not only do they come away with the knowledge, they come away enjoying it and remembering it.
Yeah,
So,
we look
yes.
at little. I bring in like my local gal I get pond water from. She sold her business, so I was a little frantic this year. But I bring in like pond water that we've grown and added things to, or we find little swimmies in it, and that's always like
Yeah.
a huge
And then
delight. Yeah.
like Karen knows, I like to walk in and spy a little bit on the kids when they're doing the workshops. They're having fun. Each of them, I mean, Karen sets up all the microscopes in the room, all set up. How many do you have? Like 12 to 15?
Well,
See?
I don't tell Janet how many I really have, because
know.
it's more than I probably should have. But traditionally, the high school teachers I talk to, they have anywhere from 2 to 4 students per microscope, and a lot of times now due to expenses, they'll just do a video scope where the teacher does it and projects it on the whiteboard, on the smart board, and the kids observe it that way, unless you're in like an IB or AP class. So a lot of times, if you're just in like a traditional high school, secular high school, you don't always get a lot of hands-on microscope work. I do if I have 12 kids in the class, depending on like my space where I set up, I like to have at least 8 microscopes out because that way they can like move and shift and that type of thing. And then I also have some that where the arm rocks in essence. So one year I had a student with some really severe back issues, and she was not able to stand and just bend to look at a microscope. So she was able to sit at a table, and she could just tilt the microscope for her own needs.
Oh, very cool.
And the kids were really good. They're just like
Yeah.
they just let her have that when I have 2 or 3 like that, and they just let her always have her microscope.
Yeah.
You know, so
I really enjoyed that time when I walked in and your students had named their specimens.
oh yeah,
They're like, we're drawing little whatevers, and
yeah,
then-
there's always something named Bob.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is about the name Bob, but kids
Yeah.
love Bob. So.
Yeah, so they are very, very high quality microscopes.
Yeah, they are. They're good microscopes. Yeah, they're really
Yeah.
nice ones.
Yeah,
So
my-
they're not the
yeah.
little reflector ones, or yeah, they're actual, really
Yeah.
good quality. It's taken me a long time to get them
Yeah.
put together in a nice selection, but
Yeah, Mr. Luna from Luna Microscopes, he's the one that services them, and when he comes in, he tells me, these are great. There's even some college level microscopes in
right, yeah, we've adapted a lot of them to have a specific stage, so they move like a college microscope. So when the kids transfer to their lab classes at even junior college or college, they're used to that. But yeah, we get them all serviced. They'd service, like if you go to any of the community colleges and do anything with optics at any of the Maricopa community colleges, that's who
Mr.
services
Luna.
all their equipment.
Yeah.
Mesa Public Schools, I think some of the school districts on the west side as well.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty well known
Yeah.
operation.
And
So-
they're a homeschooling family.
yeah, he's great.
So one other question, if you have a child that wants to take the biology workshop, and they're the kind of kid that really doesn't want to cut the poor frog, or they're just a little, oh, I'm not sure I want to do this. How will you handle that? How does that work out?
A lot of times first of all, I can't make them do it, but usually what happens is because they work always with a buddy, so like the smaller specimens, they have their own. If we're doing a frog, they share a frog. Usually once they get in there, they're really curious, you know. But again, I think part of it is just how I do it. I don't do it like the way the workbooks say to do it. We do it a little different, so it's a little bit more interesting. It's not quite so dry in essence.
Yeah.
So, but I try to encourage them. So the specimens, like the larger specimens, for instance, like the frogs, they already have an initial slit in them, and if they need help, they can work with a table mate, or they can just sit back and take a breather. One of the things that helps a lot is we'll always have like our fan going. If we, like right now, my classroom has an overhead fan, but our new classroom it doesn't. But it has it's much larger, and I always have the door open, so you get that fresh, the fresh scent. And I might end up bringing in just a couple stand-up fans, so that helps a lot. If the kids need to stop and take a break, they can go outside, get some air. You know, that helps.
Yeah.
But one of the best things you can do is let your kids cook at home. Let them cut up stuff and cook so they get some nice skills.
Yeah, nice skills are good.
Yeah.
I remember with my youngest daughter who was so freaked out about it, and we were doing our biology dissection with some friends in our co-op, and I remember telling you how she was freaking out and the frog was coming up. Anyway, you gave me some pointers, and I think I had her see ahead of time what was going to happen with the frog,
Right.
and you let me borrow a video.
Right, and that's a lot of it. If you watch a video ahead of time, the kids know what to expect. A lot of kids don't hunt anymore. You don't even have to go to the grocery store anymore. I mean, you can order all your food delivered. You can order all your food cut up, and so a lot of kids come in lacking those knife skills that I used to get 20 plus years ago. And so it does make a difference. And so I try to be sensitive to that and to incorporate that into just a little bit gentler approach. We actually will start off with just working with things that are not scary.
Oh, people like that. Kids like
yeah,
that.
like oranges. Or can you dissect,
a candy bar.
a candy bar? Yeah, some stuff like that just to get some
Yeah.
nice skills. So we
Yeah.
do a lot with that. And then for the dissection workshops, the other thing is when you look on the list of those, you'll think like, well, that's not a very extensive list. And you're right. The way we designed it was so you could take the dissection workshops like at least 2 years in a row and get different specimens. So next year it would be a different bank of specimens. So that,
So those are for the individual ones, or
yeah,
okay.
for the individual
Yes.
ones, yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
the ones for the series is a complete credit.
Right,
So
it's
the
a-
ones for the series has a lot more.
Right, yeah, a lot more, and they would always pretty much be the same based on availability. I mean, one year there was no starfish. Actually, for 2 years
Yeah.
there was a starfish epidemic, and there were no starfish.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, Karen, I think your workshops are I already know they're amazing because I hear the kids how they enjoy it, and I have my own kids that had that experience. And I do have to say that child that did not was really freaking out about the frog. I have pictures with her holding her dead frog right here.
Oh yeah, I let them
And
take pictures, during
yeah.
class of their specimens they're dissecting, which they'll pretend to like kiss it, or they'll put it by
Yes.
somebody's face and look surprised.
I
and,
was shocked.
that type
But
of
it
stuff,
really,
so.
Karen's techniques
So.
really understand the kids, and they
Yeah,
want the
you
kids to
just
enjoy
you just
class.
make it a little bit more fun. I had a student one year whose mom she was very adamant over and over and over, I don't know, and over again about how her daughter did not like dissections, would not do dissections, and hated dissections, and she just told me this basically every single time she saw me. And yeah, you just give the kids a little space, and their lab partners working on things, and they get a little curious as to what it is. So I had specimens for her, and it took about 10 minutes, and she was pretty much interested. But then again, I've had students where I had one student who did all of the specimens, and then when it came to the frog, she had this amazing love for frogs, and she just could not do the frog. And I'm like, you don't have to. You can just sit there and you can be like, you can watch your table mate and things like that. And so she was very comfortable with that. So you really just, you want to be sensitive to kids, but most kids really do get involved, and they do like the dissection.
Yeah.
So.
Okie dokie. So check out our website, chsrc.org. If you guys have any other specific questions that we didn't get a chance to answer, okay.
Let me answer one about physical science.
There
So
we go.
for the physical science workshops, I have not. If you have a student, sometimes physical science is very, very math based, and so the labs that I have, obviously there's some math involved, figuring angles and things like that, speed, things, different things. If you have a student that isn't strong in math, that's fine. They would do fine in the physical science workshops, because I'll send a note home like the month prior, make sure you review on how to calculate what's the formula for speed, or how to use a protractor, or that type of thing. So if they're not strong in math, and that's the reason they're having a hesitancy with physical science, this would be a great workshop for them, because it's not physics, it's like physics light, So they would do well in that workshop, because it is not scary math. It's just like regular math. Actually, it's really more like elementary math, because there really isn't any algebra or anything involved. So it's just, a lot of times it's just kind of dusting off some cobwebs on like, how do I do that?
Yeah, and Karen is really good at explaining all this stuff, and also giving the parents advanced information.
A little advanced information, yeah. So if they're interested in the physical science one, again, it's not scary math based. So
that sounds great. I am just really excited about this change. So we don't have registration fees. We calculated the cost of all the items that we're gonna need, and
right.
Yeah.
Again, this is new for us as well,
Yes.
because I'm afraid some of the parents are going to go like, well, that seems a little pricey. But if you were a previous Covenant parent and you went back and went, oh, there's no registration fee, there's no this fee, no that.
Yeah.
We've lumped those together, and we'll see. It's our first year for this, so we'll see how it works. But I think it's going to be good. You will not be shorted on.
You will not.
On
it's going to
any
be amazing
supplies or anything like that. So.
So thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And be sure any question that pops up to your head that we did not answer, just shoot us an email, give us a call. We will be super happy to
Right,
answer
questions,
it.
suggestions, things like that. So
Yeah, and it is gonna be really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I keep saying that because I'm gonna stick my head in there. If they're doing dissections, I will just do this and walk away fast.
I'll put
But
in like
otherwise-
no Janet sign on the door. So.
Exactly. But otherwise, I'm just gonna have so much fun to hear what the kids are saying, hear them laugh, and hear them name their little creatures or whatever the heck they do.
Yeah.
It's always really cool to see that.
And we have a
really neat.
really nice outside space at our new location where I was just over there today and discovered a little outdoor space that I can use like for the little kids that will just be kind of fun when it's nice and we can go outside for part of our labs or something. So yeah, our new location is really some awesome
really
things to
nice.
offer. So
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Karen.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
sharing
Thank
with us.
you.
And
Yeah.
thank you for joining us.
thanks.
Bye.